Welcome to the Living on Purpose channel. This audio file is the first of hopefully many future audio files where I'm going to be talking to everyday people just like you and me, and we'll be sharing what's pertinent to us at the time. Today's topic is on raising our standards and living a slower life and how we connect with the divine, and I am talking with my friend Jane. Welcome, Jane. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Mel.
So we're just in a park, so please forgive any background noise. It's really lovely. There's birds singing and children playing, but there may be some other noises from time to time. So I guess to get us started, Jane, how do you, in your daily life, how do you connect with the divine?
Well, I'd say today what I've done is we've met for a beautiful walk. We've actually got sunshine and there's a beautiful cool breeze. And for me, I would say connecting with nature, walking in the bush, that's how I connect, and that's when I feel really alive.
Have you sort of, I mean, you're obviously aware of it, so do you integrate that as a regular practice?
I'd say yes. For me, it would be gardening.
Gardening.
I'm in touch with nature, and to me, and I suppose the changing seasons, the rhythm of that, and how it makes you feel like within me, I just feel really good when I'm out in nature, and to me, that's my connecting.
Why do you think gardening specifically helps us connect with the divine? Because I feel the same way, and it's hard to nail it down.
I just think I guess as females and mothers, that nurturing instinct is within, and that sparks me. And when I'm gardening and watching things grow as nature intended, even if they're hybrid seeds, who knows, it's still that, wow. I always, every day, if I see a flower that's bloomed, or even the roses that I've been watching for 30 years, they still hold so much, what is that word? Or yeah, just that they can, even, we've had such a dry year. We've had really barely any rain. But seeing the roses, like, they're not as big as they usually would be, but they're still thriving. They're still going through the motions of doing their thing.
Yeah.
And I think that is really important. They're adapting. They may not be getting as much water, but they're still going.
Yep.
They're still moving forward, and they're doing their thing, and I find that amazing.
It's a metaphor for us, isn't it?
Isn't it? Definitely. We can adapt. We might not have enough water, but we can still adapt to those conditions and keep moving.
So nature, it sounds like you're sort of reflecting on, life finds a way, and nature is a really good mirror of our own experience, and that connection to the divine. I mean, the cycles of nature, gardening, as you were talking, I got this impression that it's, when you're a gardener, you're really sort of working hand in hand with Mother Nature. You're like a handmaiden to Mother Nature, which is quite beautiful, isn't it?
It is. And a guardian too of the earth, in whatever capacity that, even if you had I don't know, potting mix in a pot, that still is connecting with nature. Yeah, which I think we've discussed before, where even you might not have a lot of space, but just that and that nurturing feeling, that I think is what I was put here for.
Yeah, okay, so you're finding your divine purpose through that. So I'm starting to think a lot about, I also walk in nature. I really love that, and I think many people listening to this audio file will agree. It is uplifting being in nature, reminding yourself of that connection. I know that in your case you're not sort of connected to a structured religion, sort of a more natural spiritual approach. Do you feel connected to the divine? I mean, yes, you feel better, but do you feel a divine connection?
I do, and I my thought pattern would be slightly different. Like, I think everyone's would be. I guess I was brought up in a very, fairly Christian household, but it was sort of forced upon me.
Yeah.
So I think that's where my rebellious, I don't believe that, but I know I believe in stuff that I know that divine is there because I've had too many experiences to ignore it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can't not, because I know it's there.
Is it from what I understand of the Christian perspective, especially the Gnostic perspective? That seems to be, from what I'm learning, and I'm fascinated with the Gnostic stories at the moment. But Jesus talks a lot about connecting with God by going within, and it's more about that inner connection than outward facing faith. That in the Gnostic stories, it talks about Jesus pretty well making it clear that inner connection to the divine is much more valuable than outward faith, which, I mean, makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
It does make sense. There's a lot of stories through the New Testament about Jesus using parables involving farming and nurturing of the earth, which makes sense. It comes naturally, doesn't it? That mirroring of connecting with the source, the universe, Mother Earth, the Godhead, through enjoying the creation of that God. It's not surprising.
Just thinking, we can also see ourselves as representatives of that on earth, even though it's part of us and within us. We're still representatives, where I believe it's our job to nurture and care for this land, because depending on your belief system, like you've just mentioned, if it's created by God or wherever it came from, we are here to care for that.
Well, we're told through the New Testament, and perhaps through the Old Testament as well, although I don't pretend to be an expert on the Old Testament, that the earth is here for us. But with every gift, there's responsibilities. And I mean, if we give a gift to a child, we expect the child to take care of that gift. So it makes perfect sense. It should come naturally to us to take care of the earth and to be rejuvenated and feel invigorated by reconnecting. And so that makes perfect sense. I love it.
And I just was thinking how interesting it is what I've just been talking about. You're seeing it from the Bible side. Is that, am I allowed to say that? I don't.
You can.
Like you're coming, but I'm saying it from someone who knows nothing about those things. I don't know anything. I mean, I know bits and pieces, but I wouldn't be able to go, oh, in this Testament, New Old Testament, I don't know that stuff, but I'm still reflecting those stories from someone who doesn't know them based on my belief system. So isn't that fascinating?
It's beautiful. The truth is the truth.
Yeah.
And it's not dependent on a doctrine. The truth is simply the truth. And I think my return to the Christian perspective is through Jesus, because the messages of Jesus, I can see them played out in everyday life. I mean, we're taught, I come from a corporate world where, we're told if you want to be better at your job and get promotions and excel and really deliver, model the behavior of people that are where you want to be. And so I look at the stories that are described in not just the New Testament, but also the Gnostic texts as well, and the stories of how Jesus communicated, who he communicated to, and what the messages were. They are beautiful, and there is no reason not to model that behavior. The common sense, the kindness, and the heart-centered approach is beautiful to me. Well, my background was originally Buddhism, so I found a deeper connection when I returned to the more Christ-centered teachings. But I reflect on Buddhism all the time as well, because again, common sense and truth is just there. It's present. I think that's what I'm looking for. That ultimately it's that journey within, and so the things that resonate. I trust myself. That divine spark that's in us. I think I trust when I know. I trust that I can discern for myself what feels right, what is guiding me in the right direction. And if I have questions, I just reflect on, is this something that Christ, that is in alignment with Christ? And so it's a good way marker for me. I'm similar to you, Jane. I'm on a journey. I think we're all on that ultimate hero's journey, and so the journey will take us in many different directions, and sometimes the journey feels quite rough, and sometimes it feels easy, and we say that we're in flow, and that's wonderful. So I think if we could just shift now to the other exciting topic. Well, I love this topic because I think it's really positive. The benefit of raising your standards. I know we talked a little bit about this before. Have you taken that on board, and do you see that unfolding in your life?
I do. We were discussing, work. Unfortunately, at some point in our lives, we all have to work for money
Yes.
to pay bills and crap.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I set this standard of. We were talking also about keeping ourselves small.
Yes, playing small to avoid scrutiny or judgment.
Yeah. And when you let those things go, it's like, oh, I'm not going to play small anymore. I'm going to, this is what I need. I'm going to, without trying to, I don't know the right words, but without sounding like we're actually discussing about selfishness too.
Yes.
How we could be perceived as selfish for going for our own goals, and realizing that those times when we both have had very similar situations where we've kept ourselves small, always looked out for others, and been at the end of the race.
Absolutely. It feels like part of that journey. I think we sort of wake up to it at some point,
Mm-hmm.
and I see it as we're all fractals of the divine. That just really resonates with me. We're fractals. We're components of the divine. We're a cup of the ocean of God, and so I'm here by divine purpose to learn, to grow, and I believe that by doing that, when I return to God, and I'm always connected to God, so I'm enriching God through my experiences. So I do think, I think several things about that. I think it can't possibly be that we're just here to work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how
No.
we're enriching the Creator by just working. I don't think that we're here to only put others first. I think we need to find that balance where, of course, we're not going to do things that violate the free will of others. Of course, we wouldn't do those things, and those guardrails are there within most people most of the time. But I think we are entitled to pursue our hero's journey, as I said before, and I don't think we should ever put others before us in a way that's detrimental to us.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are entitled to pursue our goals, and I'm not talking about by cheating and being bribing, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just this honest pursuit of our desires, and I'm not talking about gambling, and I'm talking about well-balanced life. You're a well-balanced
Mm-hmm.
person. You're entitled to work hard and expect to get a return for that. You're entitled to thrive. I think we came here to thrive. I think we came here to enjoy this beautiful world that we're in, and playing small doesn't cut it. And I think many of us are realizing that. So what do you do?
In the I think in that playing small mind, it's also how you just, I'd say for a long time, or many instances where I've just accepted what's given to me instead of actually pushing myself that little bit more. It's like, okay, so say this is actually a true story. My partner will buy a Tats Lotto ticket.
Mm-hmm.
We got about $600 the other week.
Oh, good.
A week later, he had his car serviced and it cost about $600. So it sort of balanced itself out. So it's sort of like, okay, we don't know, things will present. We knew, that's going to be needed for something. We didn't know what, but it was. So again, to me, that's that divine guidance.
Divine timing.
All that stuff where it's like, oh, yep, this is going to happen because it's going to be provided for you. So I think one of my big things this year is to get financial stuff under control.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was talking, I would go, okay, I need this amount of money to get by.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, and that's keeping me small. Whereas if I just accept somehow I knew I would need that $600. Mm-hmm. It's come to me because I've changed my views on things. So I suppose when you let yourself, you not hand over control, but when you embody that divine source connection we have,
Mm-hmm.
and let some of that hard edge of your being go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Soften a little and just start accepting things a bit more. I think that's when like you said, mentioned the flow.
Yep.
The flow of things happen. And I, for a long time, by keeping myself small, I hope this makes sense. So I'm keeping myself here small. I'm using my hands to talk, which isn't helping on the audio. Keeping myself small and coming up to so many roadblocks along the way.
Mm-hmm.
I made that mental decision to go big. And it's like I've just opened up so many new avenues.
Yeah.
So that because I've made that decision too. It's so much in the mind, isn't it? It's like, I only need this amount of money to get by. Or I can say, you know what? I need more, but I'm not going to let it bother me as much. So I think, letting those little things bother me. I mean, what was there? Some book about don't sweat the small stuff. I never actually read it. I have a lot of self-help books that I've never read.
Yeah.
But, even just the title, I occasionally will go, don't sweat the small stuff. And I've spent a lot of myself sweating over the small stuff. But then I let it go now.
It can become overwhelming, and it can lead you to just, I guess, micromanaging yourself, which isn't really a growth space, is it? Yeah, I do have to share a little bit about my perspective on that, because it does echo your own. I do think that playing small is, in a way, you're if you don't give yourself the opportunity to shine your own light, then you, as this individual fractal of God or of the creator of the universe, you are not contributing your flavor to the soup.
Yes.
I'm not hungry, but I
sounds
use a
good.
food analogy. But we're here to add us to the mix.
Mm-hmm.
And life always does find a way. And we know that a healthy ecosystem has diversity.
Yeah.
So we need to contribute ourselves. And by holding back on contributing us. Now, I think we just say the obvious, and it is obvious, but I'm not saying that you contribute the darker side of yourself and don't worry about other people, it's all about me, and if I want something, I just take it. I'm talking about you shine your light and you appreciate the beauty of the children around you, even if they're not your own children. You
could probably hear the swing in the background. It's very loud.
It's beautiful though. That's children not in front of a computer screen.
And the other day, like, this is totally off topic, but it's probably not. The other day, I just was driving around the lake where we live. There's a lot of black swans, and you have to stop for them if you're driving around. I had to stop twice to let them pass. All I could do was smile.
Yes.
Because it was the most beautiful. Even a policeman on the other side of the road, he put his lights on, stopped, and guided them. And we waved at each other and smiled. And I said, they're taking their time today, because they were very slow. But it was just, when people are in traffic and they're impatient.
Yeah.
And it was just this beautiful moment where all I could do was smile and let them pass.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? The opportunities we give ourselves to express our kindness, it makes us feel good. It's priceless. It's almost more invigorating than all of the things that we do, like eating chocolate or having alcohol or those other things. And I'm not saying I don't do those things, because I do enjoy good wine and I love chocolate. But the chemical rush that you get from those things, it doesn't last. Whereas the chemical rush that your brain gives you when you express kindness, when you appreciate or you experience gratitude, that goes on. And now you've talked about that. And when did the swan incident happen?
Like last week.
It's still making you feel good.
Yeah, and I'm still smiling, and I'm just like, how beautiful they are.
And I feel good because you've just told me the story, and perhaps people listening to this story will also feel good. And it was just an everyday thing.
Yeah.
But there's something very wholesome about it. And I think that could lead us on to our final topic, which is just slow living. And because there's this wholesomeness that I think about when I think of slow living. Now, it's hard to slow live when you've got a job, but Is it about finding a balance, Jane? Is it possible?
It is possible. As we talked earlier, I was working a job where, and I'm still working this job. I could do 2 or 3 days a week, and then I'd have plenty of time where I'd want to, be writing or creating and doing arty stuff in some way.
Yeah.
And I never did it.
I had plans.
How perfect. So all this time I could have been doing it. Now I've only just, and again, it was finding that purpose and a reason to do something, because I think sometimes when you're, I don't know if I'd call myself a blocked creative. I don't know. Does that make sense?
It does.
A blocked creative. That's my new title.
Self-imposed block? Or?
Maybe. And it wasn't until, talking with a friend and finding a purpose where she just said to me, well, every day I'm going to challenge you to do this little challenge where I'd write something creative, every day, and then send it to her so she could read it. Yeah. So I then had someone who was interested in me, because I guess that is another thing which would go back to blockages.
Oh, as we look over the fence and there's alpacas behind us.
Look at the little
beautiful one. Baby alpacas. So this is a shame that it's an audio file because it's very, very cute. But
anyway, back on track.
Yes.
So yeah, without having that purpose or that a person who was, like a big sister type person, or someone that's known me also for many, many years, like pre-adulthood, What about you, Jane? And that's the other thing, I've been a mum for 25 years. And I think I dropped and let go of everything that was me to focus on those kids for 25 years. So can you imagine, you think
pent-up creativity.
25 years ago, what do you want to do with your life? Well, I've got these dreams, I want to do this, I want to travel, I want to do all this. And then and it goes again back to that nurturing thing of the divine and all that. I just went into mum mode for 25 years. And I'm sort of coming out the other end of that now. And I suppose, over the years I have dabbled, but it's never been as strong until now when you wake up and go, what am I going to do now that my kids are nearly all going to be gone, left the house and have to venture out on their own. You're always going to have that mother, you always will be there, but they're not going to be as dependent on you. And that's the hard part. So it's sort of like, okay, well now, I don't know if I'd made a pact with myself in some way, right, as soon as the kids are done, then I can work on me. But when you talk about balance, finding that balance, that's the thing that I have never been great at. I'm getting there now, but it's sort of coming at a time when I need to prepare so that I do have that balance where I think that's it. If I was going to give advice to my almost 18-year-old daughter, it'd be don't lose you.
Yeah. Don't
lose yourself. And I think in losing yourself, that's where some of that connection to the divine goes with it too, because you lose, but when you come back and find yourself again and again, that hero's journey goes around, and you do find you come back to yourself.
Yeah.
You could go around billions of times, but you still get to always come back to you and that divine connection.
And do you think slow living helps with that, or is it a symptom of coming back to the connection?
I'm not really sure.
I'm not sure either. I know they seem to coincide. I know I feel better when I have those moments of slow living, and maybe we should define what we think slow living is, because it's going to be different for everyone.
Well, yeah, I think I tried that. To me, slow living would be, like I said, I could work 2 or 3 days and then have time to just do the things that I love. My biggest dream, and I kind of am doing it, not to the extent I'd like, but, I have a dream where I just grow berries.
Very specific.
Very specific. And I do grow berries. I haven't been so successful this year because of the weather and getting the fertilization right.
Yeah.
But you know how nice slow living would be, working a few days, growing berries, and then being able to be creative.
So do you think there's an element of, at a high level, basic work-life balance? And whatever that is for different people, they can decide for themselves.
I remember saying to someone, it's like, okay, so I do pottery. And you will always find a time to do something if you want to. That's the key. It's okay, I really want to get really good at it. At the moment, that's the slow part. But I've also been working a lot more too. But even though I've been working a lot, I've been adding in those creative things that I love to do as well. And they might not be to the extent I want at the moment, but I'm still doing them.
Okay.
So
and do you think it's also, because obviously there's a lot of AI around, there's a lot of online gaming going on, there's a lot of online life. People are living a lot of their lives online, a lot of their friends are available online, and do you think that there's an element of we've been talking about slow living being creating a bit of a balance. It is also balancing the technical side of your life where you interact with this sort of technology that's quite immersive, and the real world as well.
I think it's really it's a big question, isn't it? I spend time on social media, probably more than I'd like, but actually because I've been trying to balance things out by doing the work stuff, doing the creative stuff, obviously you've still got to do the mum stuff and the house stuff, all that, because I'm filling up my gap time, and I set myself that goal of writing every day.
Yep.
I find that I'm actually the tech stuff drops away because I'm determined to make this work, and again that's that shift in my mindset.
That's the raising of your standards, isn't it?
Yeah. So all of this ties in, doesn't it? It's sort of like, no, my standards are, I'm determined, but I needed that person, or not necessarily a person, but I needed that confidence, I guess, that came from talking with my friend, like the big sister friend, that her just giving me a good kick up the bum, going
almost to validate what you were thinking.
Exactly. And because and that just, it was just, I still am amazed that I think it was the 11th or the 12th of January.
So do you think it could be that you made the decision to commit to yourself?
Yeah, but I also needed somehow for that other person to help me to make that commitment to myself.
Because almost they held space for you, then they reflect, they know you, and they can see the truth of what you're saying for you. And
Yes.
So it was the extra little bit of validation that tipped you over. I know,
and that
we
is
could
a
see
perfect example. Like what you've just said explains what's in my head, but it's not coming out so well. But no, that is perfect, because sometimes we do need that person, like I think around me, and especially when it comes to, say, wanting to be a creative person. So many times, you'd be put down by, why would you want to be creative? You can't get money out of that. But then when you let those people who have judged, and I think that for me is the key. I've always, what will people think? Once you go, I don't care what people think anymore, and that also stops you from being small too.
Absolutely.
Are we still talking about being small? No.
We are talking. Well, I
we
think
changed the subject, but
we have changed the subject. But I think that I can see that they do come together and they're part of the same package, because we're not actually living bigger in a movie star sense, in a I want to be the CEO sense. We're living. It's like we're filling our shoes out more fully. And it's like we've been walking around in our children's size shoes for all of our life, instead of sort of saying, well, look, I now have a size 9 foot. I'm going to wear the size 9 foot. I'm going to shine my light. I'm going to be who I can be. And it feels uncomfortable at first, doesn't it? Because we haven't done it. And it's not always, and I will say this, if you're starting that journey, things will happen, and in my experience anyway, that make you think, that wasn't comfortable. That's okay. It's almost like a growing pain.
Yes.
I think that's the way I sort of see it. But you're never alone. You're always connected to the divine. You've always got that guidance. And people have people can connect with the divine by going within and get that the comfort that you got from a friend. You can get that as well from going within.
Definitely.
And I meditate on this. I do find that I get clarity after that. But similar to you, I get a lot spending time with like-minded people like you. I find I fire off all these ideas and I get validation on thoughts as well, and it's community.
And I think what we've also found in this, so as I said, that friend really was the spark plug, you know, that just like boom. But if I hadn't have had that person to confide in and to give me that good kickstart, so it was already within me.
Yes.
But it's like those last layers that are still coming off, and that conversation was the thing that lifted that layer for that part of my life.
Yep.
And to go, boom, right, okay, it's opened up now. But I just needed, it goes back to that connection between us. So like a lot of the stories we've discussed today, or they're not just stories, are they? They're like...
It's our lives.
Our lives. With very similar paths. So I just also want to go back to the religion Christian thing you were speaking of earlier, like through the stories, how we learn and everything. So even though I say that I wouldn't say I'm part or follow a specific religion, I just find this an important discussion point. I would have learnt those stories from my parents and their actions, which have then reflected how I live my life.
Yeah, you sort of integrate them, don't you?
Integrated without even actually because I don't, I'm not religious. But it also makes me think of that connection that with every human, mostly, we do have all that underlying we're going through same experiences. And I think sometimes it's really hard because you feel like you're the only person that's going through something tough.
And it's never the case.
Yeah.
Everyone's on their own hero's journey, and of course they're experiencing challenges at different times to you. But I think that's just the power of community and the importance of community. I hope that we can get back to having more community in our lives, and of all ages and you know, all different types of people make up that mix, be diverse. You know? I think that's one of our strengths as humans. Just like any ecosystem. And
you'll know that if you have felt like you've been completely separate from community for whatever particular reason. A few years ago, I just felt very cut off from everything and everyone, and I know how that wasn't good, but I feel like if I hadn't have gone through that either, I wouldn't be coming out the other side in a more positive, energetic, determined, I don't know what other words to describe it, but you know, I wouldn't come out that side.
I think, and I know it's a sort of a new topic that we're introducing, but I do think that that's one of the cycles that we go on in the hero's journey or in life. And you know, Jesus did disappear to the desert. We go off and we integrate, I guess, and we have different experiences, and then we return and we are a bigger, more fleshed out version. We have more to offer. We've integrated more, and I think we shine our light brighter as well.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because I was just thinking, you know, even the people that I live with don't get it. So my immediate family just, it's so, the way I used to react to things is different now because I've dealt with a lot of emotional stuff. I feel like I've healed.
Yep.
I don't have too many moments where I have big outbursts that I once did. So to me, I know that is a thing, but it's sort of like sometimes other people take a while to catch up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so my partner, for example, he would think that I still act a certain way about a certain thing, not knowing that from within I've completely changed.
So
that
you don't want to get
another topic.
Yes, that's covered off in another topic, because I think that's a big topic about how to sort of remain true to yourself.
Yeah.
But also, when you're on a journey, you don't want to hold on to who you are in any moment because you're still growing. So that's a juggling one, but not to be derailed, I guess, by expectations of others. That's a good topic.
Yeah.
So in closing, Jane, what would be your advice to someone who is perhaps just starting to think about, you know, they've got questions about how they balance their lives, they're not particularly feeling connected to what they're doing or how they're living? What would be, say, 3 things that you would suggest that would perhaps help them, inspire them?
In talking about being small, I would say, well, whether this is one of those, I'm not sure, sorry. I am always tired, right? So I always would use that as an excuse. Maybe I can't do that because I'm tired, I'm exhausted. I think changing my thought on tiredness is just, I can say, no, I can't do that because I'm tired. Or I can go, I know I'm always tired. I know I always feel exhausted, so I'm just going to do it anyway.
So is it about owning your life and not making excuses? I think it's a raising your standards.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And what about for those people who are working full time and they've got commitments and they don't have the flexibility or the ability because of their commitments to reduce their hours, for example, that they're working full time and that's the way it has to be for now. Do you have some suggestions on things they can do to start integrating that? Not necessarily slower living. I love the idea of slower living, but I'm still working out what that really means for me. I think it's about taking opportunities or taking advantage of opportunities to get in nature and to slow down and not to be, firing at 1,000,000 miles an hour. But there has to be some elements of your life that tap into, I guess, the creative side. What do you think?
I have found, my daily journal writing.
Okay.
For me, like now that I've found that purpose and maybe the audience or someone that I can share those things with, like when you feel like you don't have someone to share things with sometimes, that can sort of be a real block. And I think that's what mine was. But I've been doing that every day, and I know it could take 5 minutes, it could take an hour. It depends.
Depends on what you know.
And I know I'm always going to be tired, so if I spent 5 minutes being creative, I'm still going to probably be tired. I might go to bed not at a time that I want. It might be 10 minutes later or, so it's like I go, okay, well, it's just 10 minutes of sleep that I might lose, but I'd probably wake up an hour before I'd like to anyway and lie awake doing nothing. So like,
do you feel better for it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just kept me on track. And yeah. And I guess the other thing, like that connection to nature, if we're busy and stuff, if you don't have house plants already, get one.
Yep.
So that's just something I just think, again, when you don't feel like you don't have purpose, I know you're living on purpose, but yeah, even if you've got that one little plant, I think we discussed it another time where you were talking about even if you're in a high-rise building or in the city or something, get that one plant.
A cactus. Get a cactus.
They don't need a lot of care. They need some care, but and that's that connection and that nurturing, and that's what I love.
And it takes you out of your own me space as well.
Yeah.
So I think we'll finish up there, Jane.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. Thank you for sharing. It's lovely to hear from real people and your real experiences, because when we're talking to our friends, people going through the same things as us, as we've said, it's inspiring and it validates what we're going through, and so that's the purpose of these audio files. So love you to come back and we'll do more of these chats. And if you'd like to ask any questions of me or Jane in the future, feel free to pop your questions into the chat and we'll make sure that we cover off those questions in subsequent audio files. So I hope you enjoyed this first of our audio files in the series. We talked about living small and raising your vibration and slow living, so how we connect with God. Thanks everybody. I hope you enjoyed this audio file.